Let's talk Tanya for the 3rd of Elul. In yesterday's Tanya, we explained that the mitzvahs are limited in their scope, legally limited, and the reason for that is because the light that we draw down through mitzvahs is a limited light of God, the chesed of Hashem, God's chesed, God's kindness, but as it enters and comes through gvura, God's severity. Now this is fine, this is good, this is the Torah that's given to us. There's nothing wrong with the fact that it's limited. It accomplishes, by doing mitzvahs, we accomplish exactly what we're supposed to accomplish, bringing down into this world the light that we're meant to bring down. However, this only works for someone who is a tzaddik, someone who is perfect and someone who has never messed up, someone who has used every opportunity possible to do mitzvahs and to always draw down the light that he or she was meant to draw down into this world. But what about someone, and you can argue that this is almost everyone, who have had missed opportunities? There are mitzvahs that they neglected to do. And when someone neglects to do a mitzvah, there is a light, a godly light, which was meant to be drawn down into this world, meant to be drawn down into this world by me or by you. It wasn't drawn down. What can we do about that? And the answer is to fill that void, the vacuum that exists because of the mitzvah that we didn't do. For that, we need to dig deeper. For that, we need to draw down the infinite light of God, which because it is infinite, therefore, it fills up all the voids because it's infinite, so it fills up everything. And the difference is, the Zohar talks about that there are two different types of chesed that God has, two different types of kindness. There's what's called chesed olam, the kindness which is intended for the world, and that is the kindness we were speaking about yesterday, which is God's kindness, however, which enters into gevura, and therefore it is somewhat limited by the time it gets here to this world. And then there's a much higher level of chesed, which is called Rav Chesed, the great chesed, which is God's unlimited kindness, and that is the light that we need to draw into this world if we've messed up and if there's mitzvahs that we've missed out on doing, and this way we're able to make up for what we didn't do in the past. And this is why our sages tell us that b'makim shebali tshuva eimdem ein tzadikim gemurim yochel melamed sham, which means that in the place where bali tshuva, those who have done tshuva, stand, that is such a high place, such a great place, that tzadikim can't even begin to imagine being there. And the obvious question is why? Why is someone who messed up and then fixed up what they messed up, why is that person greater than the person who never messed up in the first place? For example, if I got into an accident and smashed up my car and brought it into a body shop and got it fixed, can we argue that my car now is in a better place than it would have been had I never got into the crash in the first place? Even if I fixed it up perfectly, it's just as good as it was beforehand. What is the advantage of the Baal Tshuva? But now we understand. The concept of tshuva, in order to be able to do tshuva, is you need to draw down that infinite light of God, because that's the only way to make up for what the mitzvahs that one has not done in the past. And that's why the Baal Tshuva is greater than the tzaddik. The Baal Tshuva digs deep. The example that's brought in other places in Chassidus is if you have a riverbed that dries up, you need to dig deep until you hit the water under the ground. And then when you hit that water, it starts rushing and gushing with such incredible intensity, even stronger than the river was in the first place. The same thing is also the Baal Tshuva necessarily taps into that infinite light of God, something which the tzaddik never does, because the tzaddik never has to do that. What does this all have to do with tzedakah, which is the larger topic of our letter? That will be the topic of tomorrow's Tanya, God willing.